Are you ready for another easy camping recipe? Well, stay tuned. It's Holly with Let's Go Now Adventures, and thanks for joining me. You know, our channel is about all things camping. Whether you tent camp or RV camp, our goal is to just help you have a great camping experience. So we've stretched the camping season out almost to the end, and it's a very cool day. In fact, tonight it's going to get down to almost freezing. So I thought it would be a great idea to make a hot beef stew. And this recipe is super simple, so let's just go ahead and jump right in. So what you'll need is some garlic or some garlic powder, salt and pepper. I've got some beef broth. You can use some cube steak. I'm just going to use some stew meat, made it that much more simple. It was already cut up. Some onions, some vegetables. I've got some potatoes, some carrots, some celery. It's going to be delicious. And then some diced tomatoes. And then a Diet Coke. You may need that. I need that if I'm making this recipe. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken about a half a cup of flour. Let's go ahead and open that up. We're going to pour some salt and pepper in here and a little bit of our garlic powder. Whoa. Okay, now we're going to take our stew meat or some cubed steak, whatever you have, and we're going to just put a nice flour coating onto our meat. I'm going to pop it in our bag. And we're just going to coat it with that flour. Just kind of do the shake, shake, shake. Now, I've got 24 coals getting hot over by the fire. What we're going to do is I'm getting the Dutch oven preheated. I've gone ahead and I put some vegetable oil in there, and it's starting to bubble. So it's going to be just perfect when we drop our meat down in it. What we want to do is just get a nice lightly brown on that meat, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I'm just going to pull this meat out, set it on our little tray, and then we'll go over to the Dutch oven. I used a half a cup of flour, but I can tell right now that obviously that was way too much. So maybe a fourth a cup of flour would do ya. Okay, let's go over to the Dutch oven. Okay, so we've got a nice just kind of browning on the outside of our meat. You know, one thing with this recipe, it's super fast and easy to put together, but it does take a while. So you'll want to factor that in if you're going to be making this. I'm guessing about total cook time is going to run between 2.5 hours. One thing with stew meat or cubed beef steak, the meat cut is a little bit tougher. So it's going to take a while for that just to kind of cook so that meat gets nice and tender. So anyway, we've got a nice browning on it. Now I'm going to take my beef broth. This is 4 cups, and we're going to use about 3 cups. You know, you don't want to get it too soupy because you want it to be more of a stew rather than a soup. So what we're going to do, we've got that in there. Now we're going to go back over to the coals, and before we add anything else, we're going to cook this for a good hour. Now, as we're making this, just note that you're probably going to need to change your coals between 2 and 3 times. So make sure you have charcoal on hand because you are going to need to change that out. I think this first set of coals will last us for the first hour as we cook this. So let me just go over the other ingredients. I have got 1 full onion. I've got a cup of celery, a cup of carrots, and about 2.5 cups of potatoes. And then a large can of the diced peeled tomatoes. Now we are not going to add our veggies in until after the first hour of cooking. So let's go over, cook it for the first hour, then we'll add all of our vegetables in, and then it will go for another hour, hour and a half. about 2.5 hours, and I just tested the meat and the potatoes, and they are ready. So let's go ahead and get it off the coals. So I just wanted to clarify, I started out with 24 coals, and I got the stew meat and the broth up to a boil. And then I actually took out about 12 of the coals and just let that stew kind of simmer for that first hour with just 12 coals. You know, the whole idea is letting this meat just cook nice and slow because the meat is more of a tougher cut. Then I changed the coals and I just added, once again, 12 more coals on the bottom and let it cook for the additional hour. Then once that was done, I added the peas and put some toast on the top of the Dutch oven, added a few coals on the top, and we let it go for another, 15, 20 minutes. And just once again with another 12 coals. Once again, changing those coals out. So even though this recipe is simple, it does take a little bit of time. Let's go ahead and see how we did. Ooh, I could smell it. It just is smelling so delicious, so yummy. Ooh, and it's just, look, it just thickened up. Those last, I think it might have been the last half hour. This kind of thickened up and it looks amazing. Let's dish this up some. Who doesn't love a nice, thick beef stew when it's cold outside? Ooh, this beef stew looks so amazing, especially since we started this video, about 2.5 hours ago. I think the temperature has dropped another 10 degrees. So it's getting chilly. The stew is going to be amazing. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to watch the video. And if you got some value out of the video, give us a big thumbs up. We would also love to have you subscribe to our channel. So happy camping, and I'll see you on the next adventure. Bye, everyone.